From the moment I moved into my quiet countryside property, one of my favorite things about the place was the charming little wooden bridge that led to my driveway. It wasn't anything grand or modern, it was small, cozy, and handmade, something that added character to my home. But the bridge had one rule that everyone understood just by looking at it: it was not built for heavy vehicles. It was perfect for cars, small pickups, and maybe the occasional delivery van, but certainly not made to carry the weight of giant cement trucks. Unfortunately, that understanding didn't apply to everyone, especially not to HOA Karen, a woman who had made it her personal mission to ignore every boundary, every rule, and every form of common sense. The neighborhood already knew her for her entitled behavior, but when she started using my bridge like it was a public highway for her construction projects, things got worse than ever. Every few days, I heard the deep growling engine of a cement truck rumbling through the trees. At first, I couldn't believe it. The sound didn't even fit the peaceful environment I lived in. But when I stepped outside, shock hit me like a slap across the face. A full-sized cement mixer was rolling across my tiny wooden bridge as if it were a 4-lane concrete structure. The wood creaked under the weight, shaking visibly, and I felt my heart drop. This wasn't just rude, this was dangerous. If that truck fell through the bridge, it would cost thousands of dollars, block my only access route, and potentially injure the driver. None of it made sense. And yet, it kept happening. I approached Karen calmly the first time. I explained, "This bridge can't support that kind of weight. Please don't send heavy trucks across it." Her response? A shrug, a smirk, and the most irritating line I'd ever heard: "It's the fastest way to get to the work site. Your bridge looks fine. It looks fine." That was her reasoning. A wooden bridge that was never meant for commercial vehicles was at risk every time her contractors came through. But Karen didn't care. She didn't pay for the bridge. She didn't maintain it. She didn't own it. To her, it was simply convenient. Over the next 2 weeks, I tried everything short of physically blocking the path. I printed signs that said, "No heavy vehicles. Bridge limit, 1.5 tons. I spoke directly to 2 different truck drivers and explained the risk. They apologized, but they also told me Karen insisted they use that route anyway. I even emailed the HOA, detailing the situation. But anyone familiar with HOA politics knows how that goes. Karen wasn't just a random resident, she was the type of person who injected herself into every committee so she could boss people around. She had connections, influence, and a voice louder than the rules that were supposed to keep everyone safe. Meanwhile, the problem grew worse. Each time one of those trucks crossed the bridge, I could see the cracks deepening in the beams. Small splinters started forming along the rails. I could tell the wood was weakening. One wrong move, one slightly heavier load, and the whole structure would collapse. And if it collapsed with a cement truck on top, that wouldn't just be a small accident. It would be a full-blown disaster. The situation made me angry, not just because she kept breaking the rules, but because she acted like my property didn't matter. The bridge wasn't a community road. It wasn't maintained by the HOA. It wasn't public access. It was mine, and she was using it for her personal convenience while placing all the risk on my shoulders. I confronted her again, this time, a bit firmer. "You're going to break my bridge. Stop sending trucks across it." She crossed her arms, raised an eyebrow, and said, "Well, if your bridge can't handle normal traffic, maybe you should build a better one." Normal traffic? A cement mixer weighing over 30,000 pounds. Her complete lack of understanding, or refusal to understand, was unbelievable. It was clear that she saw my warnings as an inconvenience, not a serious issue. And the more she dismissed me, the more determined she became to do exactly what she wanted. By this point, my stress levels were through the roof. Every time I heard a loud engine in the distance, I ran outside, afraid the bridge would be gone. I started avoiding parking my car near it just in case. It wasn't just about the property anymore. It was about respect, something Karen didn't give anyone unless it benefited her. I realized something important. Polite warnings weren't going to work. Talking wasn't enough. Signs weren't enough. Even reasoning wasn't enough. If I didn't take action, she was going to destroy my bridge, and she wasn't going to feel guilty about it for even a second. Something needed to change. Something that would show her, once and for all, that not everything in the neighborhood was hers to use and abuse. Something that would make her understand that boundaries existed for a reason. That's when an idea came to me. A simple, smart idea. Nothing illegal, nothing damaging, just a clever trap that would finally expose her behavior for what it was. A trap she would never see coming. And that's when the real plan began.
After weeks of warnings, arguments, and frustration, it became painfully clear that Karen wasn't going to stop sending her massive cement trucks across my fragile bridge. She didn't care about the danger, she didn't care about the damage, and she definitely didn't care about the fact that she was trespassing on private property. So I did what any reasonable person pushed to their limit would do. I started planning. My goal wasn't revenge. It wasn't to destroy her truck or cause an accident. I just wanted one thing: to stop her from using my bridge forever, and to show her why it mattered. But I needed a strategy that was smart, safe, and undeniable. Step 1. Understanding the pattern. After observing the past few incidents, I noticed something important. The cement trucks always came early in the morning, around 7:30 to 8 a.m. Karen always walked out to supervise their arrival from a distance. And she always made sure the trucks used the shortest route, which, unfortunately, was over my bridge. So if I wanted the plan to work, I needed to set everything up the night before and make sure the trap didn't cause any real harm. Step 2. Creating the trap. Smart, not dangerous. My trap wasn't some Hollywood-style stunt. I didn't want anything collapsing or breaking. I wanted a controlled failure, something that would stop the truck, prove the bridge couldn't support heavy weight, embarrass Karen enough to force change. I installed a temporary load-bearing limiter, essentially, a pair of harmless but very effective wooden barriers under the bridge planks. These barriers were meant to dip slightly and cause the wheels to sink just enough to get stuck without damaging the vehicle or the bridge. If a normal car crossed, nothing would happen. But if a heavy vehicle crossed, the weight would shift downward, the wheels would sink just a few inches into a soft sand patch I had prepared, and the truck would be stuck on top of the bridge. No danger. No collapse. Just a perfect, safe trap. Step 3. Setting the scene. At dawn the next morning, everything was ready. I positioned myself nearby with a camera, not to humiliate anyone online, but to have proof for the HOA if needed. And of course, to defend myself if Karen tried to twist the story, which she absolutely would. Then the moment arrived. The familiar growl of a cement truck's diesel engine echoed through the trees. I felt that mix of frustration and anticipation boil inside me, but this time, I was ready. And right behind the truck, as usual, was Karen, arms folded, chin raised, acting like the queen of the neighborhood. Step 4. The trap is triggered. The truck drove onto the bridge. The first few boards creaked loudly. The driver slowed down, confused, but Karen waved at him to keep moving. He stepped on the accelerator. Boom. Not a crash. Not a break. But a strong, deep thud as both front wheels dropped just a few inches into the soft trap area. The entire truck jerked forward and froze. The engine roared, wheels spun, but the truck didn't move. The driver jumped out, shocked. Karen stormed toward the bridge, her face already turning red. She yelled at the driver, "What are you doing? Keep going." He shouted back, "Ma'am, I can't. The truck's stuck." She stomped toward the bridge, and when she saw the situation clearly, her stunned expression was priceless. The truck was perfectly fine, no damage, no danger, but completely unable to move an inch. And the message behind it was crystal clear. Step 5. Confrontation, and the truth comes out. I walked toward her calmly. "Karen," I said, "this is exactly why heavy trucks aren't supposed to cross a tiny wooden bridge." She spun around, fuming. "Did you do this? Is this some kind of joke?" "A joke? No. A warning. Yes. And one you finally couldn't ignore." The driver even backed me up. "Ma'am, this bridge isn't built for my truck. I shouldn't be here." For the first time ever, Karen didn't have a comeback. She opened her mouth once, twice, but no words came out. The HOA members she always bragged about. They weren't here. Her fake authority. It couldn't help her now. The consequences of her choices were sitting right in front of her, literally, stuck on my bridge. Step 6. The aftermath. It took 2 tow trucks and nearly 2 hours to safely pull the cement truck off the bridge. The entire neighborhood saw it. The HOA got involved. They had no choice but to acknowledge. The bridge was private property. Karen had violated access rules. She had endangered property and people. And her behavior directly caused the incident. For the first time ever, the HOA issued a written warning against her. She was banned from directing trucks onto private property. The construction company refused to work with her again. And after this embarrassing episode, no truck driver in the region dared to cross my bridge. But the best part, my bridge wasn't damaged at all. The trap was perfectly safe. And Karen finally learned the limits she had ignored for months. Step 7. The lesson. In the end, Karen didn't apologize. People like her rarely do, but she never sent another heavy vehicle near my bridge again. My plan wasn't about revenge. It was about protection, protecting my home, my property, and my peace. Sometimes you don't need to fight. You don't need to scream. You don't need to get aggressive. Sometimes, you just need a smart trap. One they never saw coming.